Hello, my name is Barnard and I'm Professor of EU Law at the University of Cambridge. I'm also a Senior Fellow in the UK and the Changing Europe programme. And I'm going to talk to you about free movement of persons, which is one of the most vexed issues in the referendum campaign. Now, I don't know what you think about when you think about free movement of persons. Do you think about workers coming over here taking British jobs? Or do you think about Polish migrants taking our benefits? Or do you actually think slightly more positively about migrants? Do you see them there in the care sector, in the NHS, providing services? And these, of course, are some of the issues which are connected with free movement. And, of course, it goes to the core of what a lot of people are thinking about when they're working out how to vote on the 23rd of June. Now, when we're thinking about migration, we just think, first of all, about the numbers. And what is true is that there are still more non-EU migrants coming to the UK than there are EU migrants. Now, the UK does have control over its borders in respect of non-EU migrants. They can be limited, the numbers coming, and yet, in fact, it is a larger number. There are 257,000 EU nationals coming, but 273,000 coming from the rest of the world. The UK at present cannot, in practice, restrict the number of EU migrants coming to the UK, but we can restrict the numbers coming from non-EU countries. And it's worth bearing in mind that there are a lot of British people living abroad too. Nobody really knows the figures. It varies between 1 and 3 million. It depends on how you count. And there are also thought to be quite a lot of unrecorded British people living abroad. So it's worth remembering it is a quid pro quo for all migrants that we receive here. British people can live abroad. Now, the right to free movement of persons, is part of the so-called four freedoms. And that was the core of the original common market. The four freedoms are free movement of goods, so that's literally goods moving from one state to another. Free movement of persons, which we're going to be talking about. Free movement of services, that's where I temporarily provide a service in another member state. And free movement of capital, so that's investments. You can invest both in the UK and abroad. And those are the four freedoms. Now, of the four freedoms, free movement of persons is the most controversial. Some basics. What I'm going to be talking today about is free movement of persons. I'm not going to be talking about the Schengen zone because the UK is not in Schengen. Now, the Schengen zone is an area of border-free travel across most of the EU member states, but it does not apply to the UK. And what's important to bear in mind is because we're not in Schengen, therefore the UK still has the right to check the passports of everyone coming into the UK. And when I'm talking about free movement, I'm also not going to be talking about movement of, for example, refugees, asylum seekers coming from countries like Syria or Pakistan. Because that's a different set of rules entirely, and because the people affected are not EU nationals, therefore they don't benefit from the EU's rules on free movement. So what are we going to be talking about? We're talking about three main treaty provisions. We're talking about Article 45, which is the main provision which allows workers, someone who wants to come as an employee, to work in the UK. We're going to talk about Article 49 on freedom of establishment, which allows people to come here as self-employed. And we're talking about Article 56, which gives people the right to travel to provide a service or also to receive a service, which includes being a tourist. However, I can only invoke any of those rights if I am a national of a member state. So I've got to hold British citizenship in order to be able to travel freely. I'm also, all of those rights are dependent on me being economically active, so in work, in self-employment. So why do migrants move? Why do people come to the UK for jobs? Well, in the research that I've been doing as part of the UK and the Changing Europe project, a number of reasons have been offered. Most importantly, they tell us that they have come here for work, or if not work, better jobs than they had at home, or certainly better paid jobs. Pay is an issue that comes up a lot. Some people say they come because they want to broaden their experience, and some people say they want to come to learn the language, to be a really competent speaker of English, and then go back home. And you'll see on the screen now a picture of Thelma. That's not her real name. She's a Lithuanian. We met in a shop in Peterborough, and she said to us very clearly, she's here for the money. The pay is better here. She was an office worker before, but she's earning a lot more working in a shop in Peterborough. You'll also see Jose. He was a qualified teacher, PE teacher in Spain. And Jose couldn't get work in Spain. The crisis had hit badly. So he decided that his chances would be much improved by coming to the UK, learning the language, and getting experience here. So what rights do they get when they're here? Well, obviously you've got the right to leave your country, to enter another country, and to reside in the UK. Crucially, you've also got the right to work. The right to work for yourself, and also for your family members, including your family members who are what's called in the jargon third country nationals, i.e. not EU citizens. And most importantly, we enjoy the rights of equal treatment in respect of so-called social advantages and tax advantages. And this is where the controversy has arisen, because there are, in some quarters, a strong perception that migrants are coming here for benefits, and they point to the fact that under EU law you're entitled to benefits on the same terms as nationals. And certainly the government has said that 40% of EU migrants claim in-work benefits, so housing benefit and tax credits, and some of them also claim out-of-work benefits. The assessment that migrants are coming here for benefits and they are a drain on the economy of the United Kingdom is contested in some quarters. There is a rather important study from the University College London in 2014 that says that EU migrants pay more taxes than they receive in benefits. And Full Fact, which is an independent, non-partisan fact-checking charity, says that recent migrants from the EU8 countries, so those are the countries that joined the EU in 2004, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia and so forth, contributed £1.12 for every £1 they received. And those from elsewhere in the EU, from Italy, Spain and so forth, contributed £1.64 for every £1 received. Nevertheless, there is this strong perception that migrants are here for benefits, and David Cameron negotiated in Brussels a so-called new settlement deal on migration, and his two big-ticket items in this field were, first of all, the so-called emergency brake on access to in-work benefits. It's a rather complex mechanism, but basically it says if there are too many migrants putting too much pressure on public services in the UK will have a right to restrict in-work benefits for a period of 4 years. And also he negotiated a restriction on the exportability, i.e. the ability for Polish migrants to send back child benefit to Poland. Now, these two measures do need further legislation and are dependent on the UK voting to remain in the first place. So, you've heard me speak. Over to you. What do you think? I've got some questions that you might want to talk about. So one question would be, well, simply, what are the pros and cons of immigration? Then, how do you decide who should come to the UK? Should it be everyone who wants to? No one? Just highly skilled people, or opposite, maybe conversely, very low skilled people? Should we allow their family members in too? How do you decide between those different groups? What's the fairest way to decide between those groups? And finally, should emigration from the UK, i.e. people going to other member states, should this be encouraged or should it be deterred? It's over to you.